So I think it's really important that we do talk about charter cities. I think it is important that we talk about the problems that they would definitely bring up if the government decided to actually institute charter cities. We've really got to have a look at these special economic zones that Truss talks about what she wants to do with them, and the possibility that those seem to be borrowing a lot from the charter city models. And now, of course, we've got to worry about these free ports, because even more so, it seems that these free ports are certainly emphasizing very much on the free and very much not on the port, and are borrowing more and more from charter cities, and are sort of almost coming to that point where they're straddling that line between free port and charter city. And so I think it is really important that we certainly, get out there and start to warn people about the problems with free ports, special economic zones, and charter cities, and tell them these are these problems, because I fear that what is going to happen is that the government is going to try and go full bore, full tilt towards some of these, some of these things, these economic, these, as it says here, these libertarian free market crazy ideas that they want to do. And, as the saying goes, damn the consequences, or damn the torpedoes. As I think the real quote was. But what happened to the charter city in Honduras? Because Honduras recently, I think after like 10 years, has now decided to completely and utterly get rid of the charter city that got set up there in some very dodgy circumstances, by the way, as well. So yeah, it's interesting to see what happened here, and the fight and the battle that is now going on in and around this Honduras, this charter city that was made. So we're going to go getting into that, because I think it's well worth going over what happened over there, or at least what's happening now over there, in their case of trying to sort of, wrap it all up. But before we do get into that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button, and of course, you can join the Pony Club as well. So over we go to the rest of the world, something we haven't really covered before. But the title of this article is "A Crypto Libertarian Paradise Just Lost an Existential Battle with Honduras." The future of a crypto libertarian city project in Honduras called Próspera has been flung into doubt. Controversial legislation passed by the Honduran government in 2013 allowed corporations to set up the special economic zones with their own laws, regulation, courts, police forces, and schools. And that should scare a lot of people. That should scare a lot of people that is a model for a charter city. So, yeah, be prepared. They are quite terrifying. Próspera's founders seized the opportunity to set up a low-tax, fully privatized city-state focused on the financial, technological, and medical innovation. But on April the 21st, the newly elected Honduras Congress voted unanimously to repeal the law and the constitutional amendments undergirding it, leaving the zone's existence, known as ZEDIs, or Zones for Employment and Economic Development, in a legal limbo. Currently under development on the tropical island of Roatán, Próspera says it has raised more than $100 million from investors to date. Despite the repeal of these organic laws of the Employment and Economic Development Zones, or the ZEDIs, Próspera says that it will plow ahead, citing the development of the potential collusion zone with the Honduran government. President Xiomara Castro celebrated the repeal, saying that Hondurans were recovering its sovereignty. Castro won the presidential election in November of 2021 on a manifesto that included shutting down the ZEDIs in response to the growing outrage over the jurisdictions. The second ratifying vote at the beginning of the legislative period in early 2023 will bring the change into force. And Marion Rochelles, the attorney at the Roatán-based politician for the opposition National Party, said that he's 100% sure that it will be ratified. ZEDIs were heavily pushed as a means of stimulating the economic developments by Castro's predecessor, the former president Juan Orlando Hernández, who was extradited to the US on April 21 to face drug trafficking charges, but fears over sovereignty, land exploitation, and illegally, all undermining the legitimacy of this project. Próspera pitched the international investors on visions of a beachside libertarian paradise, replete with low taxes and crypto-friendly regulation. The zone recently made Bitcoin legal tender and passed legislation facilitating the issuance of Bitcoin bonds. And Próspera's investors include Silicon Valley heavyweights such as Peter Thiel and Mark Anderson through Promos Capital, a VC fund which invests in autonomous city projects. After 2017, Próspera broke down in 2020, but early on, it entered into conflict with the neighboring village of Crawfish Rock, home to the historic Gafuna community. And as rest of the world reported in that summer of 2019, after Crawfish Rock lost access to its running water, Próspera connected the village to its water tank. Villagers said the company proposed unfair pricing, and although Próspera has suspended fees during COVID-19 crisis, it then turned off the taps once it heard villagers were attempting to restore their old water system. Vanessa Candes, one of the leaders of the Crawfish Rock, said that the emotions were running high the night the ZEDI law was repealed, and that the residents were overjoyed with the decision. I think it was almost until 2 o'clock in the morning, texting and calling my friends and family, Lucia Conda said. The leader of the village council said that she can now sleep freely thanks to the law's repeal. Canada said that she wouldn't mind seeing Próspera turned into a more typical tourist area site for economic development. My advice would be, go pay your tax like everybody else, go get your permits like everybody else, and abide by Honduran law and regulation like everyone else. You can see this is the libertarian paradise that they want to create. We don't want to pay tax. We don't want permits. We don't want to obey the law like everyone else. We just want our own sort of, private fiefdom. But if you've ever heard anything of these crazy libertarians, as we once covered the Scottish Libertarians and English Libertarians manifesto on this channel, you may remember just how crazy they were over here. So imagine what they're like over there. So anyway, it continues. So in addition to Próspera, two more ZEDIs, the Caudan Morazam and Orquídea, will also be affected by the repeal. The company behind Próspera has issued a very strongly worded blog in response to the reveal of the ZEDI law, claiming that it is protected by numerous legal frameworks which were made by the previous government. The legal assurances have cited the constitutionality protecting acquired rights of the ZEDI investors and a 50-year legal stability agreement guaranteeing the rights and privileges of investors and international investment law protection, including the Central America Free Trade Agreement and the US-Honduras Bilateral Investment Treaty. For the state of Honduras to deny these rights would plainly violate the obligations under international and domestic law based on the well-established legal principles, the company argued. The February blog stated that the Honduran government could face damages of more than $1.3 billion if it tried to renege on these agreements. We respect and honor the Honduran sovereignty and always have and will treated the Próspera founder, CEO Eric Briman. And Próspera did not respond, of course, to requests for further comments. Others argued that the ZEDI's legal framework was always illegitimate. Rochelles, the politicians from the National Party that previously supported the creation of the ZEDIs, said that he believes that the ZEDI's arrangements were legal but not constitutional, a position shared by the Honduran Bar Association and Honduras Influential Association of Private Entrepreneurship, CPAP. Sehab, I think that's how you say it. And many observers also now agree that the reason the ZE law passed through was corruption. The legislation that brought the ZEs into existence, called the Red Law, or the Regionals Espianos del Dorado, or the Special Development Region Law, was declared unconstitutional in 2012 by the Supreme Court on grounds that it violated the constitutional principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and governance. The judges who voted against the law were then removed by their post by Hernandez. And the Hernandez-led Condes then rewrote and then repassed the newly named ZE law. And in early 2014, the new Supreme Court approved it. The co-chair of Crowell and Morning, law firm's International Dispute Resolution Group, Ian Laird, said that the principle of continuity between governments in international law means that the legislation enacted by a previous government can't be rejected without cause. But if the case between Próspera and the Honduran government went to international arbitration, an argument focused on the potential illegality of how the ZE law was passed could perhaps hold weight. The Honduran government officials have even said that they will engage in dialogue with the ZEs and expect that Próspera will be offered an option of converting into a free zone, a type of special economic zone with benefits of some tax breaks and fiscal incentives, but must abide by the country's laws. It's the best option for Próspera, and it would mean converting into a Zora zone, a type of tourist free zone, Roatán said. But the libertarian style they were looking for and they will never get. There is signs, of course, that Próspera is willing to cooperate with the government to some extent. Executives did meet with the vice president of the new National Congress and the Honduras Real Zatón, according to La Gazzetta, the official newspaper of the Honduran government. Próspera said that they wish to continue investing in Honduras while respecting the repeal of the ZE law. And of course, Próspera, the press release itself, published that same day. However, it states that the company expects Honduras to respect its communities under legal stability agreements and international treaties. Nobody is investing in Próspera because they seriously think they're going to make money, said Thornber Scarlett, head of the research at the Special Economic Zone Consultancy at Adrianople, who knows a number of Próspera investors. He said the main reason for the investment was ideological. The investors are libertarians who would like to see a very similar experiment in their own countries. He suspects that the development lost of its city status. It would certainly sacrifice a certain type of investor, but then gain another. They're going to lose the libertarian crypto-rich people, but they might actually make more money with it as a hotel development because there won't be that uncertainty. So, not too surprising that, there's a lot of crypto. Seems to be a lot of like very rich crypto bros over there involved in this. Not too surprising because this is what they want, and they've expressed this multiple times. They want this crazy, libertarian paradise, which will never exist. But even then, it should be quite terrifying, the fact that they get to make their own laws, their own regulation, courts, police forces, and schools. That's quite worrying that it's just, agreed upon by a corporation. Of course, how is a corporation going to run it? It's going to run it for profit, not what is actually best for the people living in that city. So, yeah, I'm glad, to be honest, that this has been shut down. But as you said, right in the article, and it's right to point out, these people want a very similar project or a very similar idea to be brought into their own, country where they are. They were investing in it for ideological reasons, because then if Próspera were to succeed, they could then go to the United States, the UK, elsewhere and go, hey, look at Próspera. Look how, quote, amazing. Again, we have to use amazing in quotation marks. Amazing, Próspera is as an idea. Let's do this here. And of course, that would cause huge problems. Just some of what you said there, where you had another village close by where they basically cut off their water supply. and we're going to charge them ridiculous amounts of money. And then when the people went, well, okay, we're going to sort of reestablish our own water supply, they cut them off from the water. You know, that's unfortunately, typical libertarian thinking. But there you go. So I'm glad this place is closed down, because good riddance, good riddance to a bad idea. And it says it all in the title, a crypto libertarian paradise. Yeah, those places just should not exist, full stop. Just full stop. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad it's gone, and I'm glad the people of Honduras are now sort of reclaiming that sovereignty. And I'll try and keep an eye on this, and I'll try and follow up what happens here with it. But we'll have to see what happens and sort of where that goes. But make no mistake, we do not want anything like this charter city that got set up here in the UK. As I said at the beginning, we have to be careful that these free ports don't just slightly cross the line and go into charter cities, because already a lot of what these sort of government says that, oh no, these companies will be regulated, but when you look at the sort of the regulation and the policy that the government are putting out, doesn't exactly say that. And even then, these companies that are going into these free ports are being very, very shady and very, very cagey about what they're going to do. Even the government won't tell the local councils and the authorities what these companies are going to do. And the fact the amount of land that is being sort of offered under these new free port zones is very, and should be very, very concerning. So, as always, thank you very much to the people for watching. Please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link. Go buy me coffee. We can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.